How long is too long to be engaged? I will answer that question on one last point. Like I said, we've been doing this thing where producer Glenn finds interesting social and cultural dilemmas, interpersonal dilemmas, all of these things, and he brings them to me. I am going to cold read a dilemma and come to an arbitrative. Is arbitrative a word? I'm going to be the arbitrator. Yeah, maybe. Producer Glenn, can you Google that? Is arbitrative a word? Am I just making things up? Bottom line, I will be the justice of this cultural societal dilemma, and will use my arbitration ability. Arbitrative is a word. Thank you. I look at that. Knowing things I didn't even know. Anyways, let's get to this. How long is too long to be engaged? I, 32-year-old male, have been with my girlfriend for 7 years. Her brother proposed to his partner in September of 2024. We knew he had been planning to propose for some time, but he kept putting it off. We respectfully waited as we knew he was planning to get engaged, but we've since found out they aren't planning on having the wedding until December of 2028. Holy cow. That is such a long time. I don't want to wait that long. I have a perfect opportunity to propose coming up. I'm not sure if I will upset interesting. Okay. I'm not sure if I will upset the brother, the partner of her parents, but I feel like 4 years is too long to expect. So would I be the a-hole if I proposed this year? Okay. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to step on the toes of the brother-in-law. What is it? Yeah. Her brother. Okay. Yeah. The future brother-in-law. You don't want to step on the marriage, the engagement. Easy. Yeah. No way that's reasonable. You're saying that you don't want to be the a-hole for getting engaged to your girlfriend for 7 years, which is a pretty long time, by the way, because you don't want to ruin the honeymoon phase of the engagement, of the coming together of the family because of the brother-in-law, but it's a 4-year engagement. Now, that's ridiculous. One, no, it's not you being an a-hole to kind of step on that a little bit, even though I don't think you even are doing that. So that's why I'd say that's okay. But also, two, a 4-year engagement is insane. We were engaged a little less than a year. I would say that's too long. All of this too comes from me understanding later on in life that we probably waited too long to do things. I dated my wife for 7 years before we got married, 8 years. And in hindsight, that was way too long. Get married sooner than you think you should, have more kids than you can afford. Also didn't do that right. We waited way too long to have kids. In hindsight, should have gotten married sooner, should have had kids sooner. We kind of fell into the whole, you need to be set in your career. You need to own a home before you have kids. You need to none of that's true. All of that. I think I've made the statement in the case on many a podcast of motivational speakers. These people are like, you need to wake up at 4 a.m., run 70 miles a day, whatever. Do all this to be motivated. No, you just need to have a kid. And that'll motivate you plenty. So bottom line here is I'm saying I, as a person who didn't condense all of these timelines, are saying, yeah, you should condense the timelines. You're 100% within your rights to propose to your girlfriend of 7 years, even if that means in the process of the brother-in-law. And you're honestly, I don't even think you should be concerned about your girlfriend's brother's fiance's parents. Why on earth would that even factor into your premise at all? I don't know. Good. This was a swift and just arbitration. I feel like we really nailed it here. As is tradition, producer Glenn, do you have any thoughts on this? Actually, if you don't mind sharing, how long were you and Katie dating / engaged before you got married?
I wrote this like 7 years ago. No, I'm kidding. We dated for a little over a year, and then we were engaged for about 5 months.
Okay, so you did it the correct way.
It was
in my opinion, the correct way.
Yeah,
expeditiously.
There's
I do know.
the age difference, and
I was gonna say you're
there's other
85.
factors.
She's I think 22. Is that correct?
What's that?
she's 22, you're 85. There's this big an age difference. You were trying
Big
to
age
speed it up.
difference. Yeah.
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 So that makes sense. Obviously, you have continued to age. Our wives, unfortunately, stay youthful, and we continue to age because that's how it goes.
It's the way of
But
things.
no, I think
Absolutely.
I think that's in hindsight, I would have done that. I like we yeah, for better or worse, stupidly, we're like, no, we need to like get set in our ways. Producer Tino throwing a comment in there. What a dig. That wasn't a dig. What dig was that? All I'm saying is Glenn clearly has aged far more than his wife, as all husbands do. It's a compliment to the wives. Tino, you have also aged drastically, and your wife has stayed youthful and ambitious.
Burn.
Anyways, no, pretty. So
I wonder though, like, I mean, I picked this story and I was like, there's a lot of directions you could go here. And I was thinking, like, potentially you might want to discuss, like, why on earth would you need 7 years to date someone? Like, what are you going to learn in years 2 through 6 that would, you know,
see, this is
loom bigger than what you learned in the first year about this
well.
potential
So
mate?
you're
Like,
you're 100% correct. I think one of the problems is like the culture nowadays tells you, oh, you got to move in together. You got to like do all of these things that you shouldn't do before you're married. And so there's a certain, there's actually two sides to this that I do think are both somewhat valid. There's one being that like, yeah, the human brain kind of takes 25 years to develop. Like you're not, I've made the joke. I don't actually think this, but I made the joke that you're not a person until you're 25. Like I can't take you seriously until you're 25 because your frontal cortex hasn't fully developed. And so with that, like post 25, you probably have a pretty good understanding. That person is not going to change all that much. And so like, if you start dating when you're 25, 26, probably good to get married. You probably have enough information to go from there. And my wife and I started dating. I was 20 and she was 19, I think. And it was also interesting because we were able to like grow together. And had we gotten married sooner, nothing would have changed other than would have been able to start doing all of the fun things sooner. So, there's both of those arguments. Like, yeah, after 20, like maybe wait till you're 25, but after 25, you got a year. But also, dating early, brain hasn't fully developed. But the other side of that is, well, it gives you time to grow into each other as opposed to separate individuals, because ultimately when you get married, the two become one.
agreed. Agreed. And, I mean, there's also plenty of examples of people who do get married young, even today. And, now it's their online personality, which is also another interesting factor for some
Yeah.
people. But I mean, there's people that still do it. They get married young. Brains aren't, I guess, technically fully developed, but, that doesn't stop them from having happy marriages and happy
Well, yeah.
lives. Like honestly, it's very, it's possible. It's possible to do. And I guess you probably should know, and maybe this is just a mark of maturity, because like a lot of times good ideas and bad ideas come in batches. If you're not that mature, you're probably not looking for ways to get into some type of big commitment. And when you start dating someone, that's just a bleed off of that idea that, yeah, okay, we're dating, but I'm not really thinking what's next or why I'm doing what I'm doing anyways.
I wonder if the theme of these one last points could be to how does it always get back to blaming godlessness? Like I'm not kidding, really. I kind of am, but I'm not. Because ultimately, yeah, because then you could say, okay, so you got to develop enough as a person, but if the education system or the parenting at home isn't propagating children in an appropriate, nurturing way, ideally through Christian morality and virtue being taught from a young age growing up, then yeah, it might take more time to quote unquote find yourself. The problem is you could find yourself in a terrible situation and having not been propagated appropriately and find yourself in a bad situation, and therefore need to take more time to discover what it is that your relationship is. So yes, Glenn, I agree with you. Godlessness is the problem.
Goblin is always the problem.
Fun. Cool. This was swift, and I feel like didn't have a ton of. This is good. It was there wasn't a lot of wiggle room here. This is like abundantly, if you're just tuning in, first of all, I don't know how you tuned in literally at the very last second. But this guy saying, I want to wait to propose to my girlfriend of 7 years to surpass the fiance engagement of her brother. That's ridiculous. Justice and arbitration was swift and definitive here on One Last Point. See you tomorrow. God bless America.